Okay, welcome back. In today's lecture, we're going to start doing coding and just a recap of what we talked about in the last lecture. What did we do in the last lecture? We install a bunch of software and then we cover the basics about using Conda to create Conda environment and also install Python packages. So for today, we wanted to talk about Google Colab. And after that, we can start like covering the basics of Python and how you can start writing code using the software that we have installed last time. So on the left side here, I want you to go to the software section and then click on Google Colab. We have installed JupyterLab on a local computer. You're welcome to use that. But Google Colab is also very popular for people that don't want to install things on their computer. They can just click and then open things up and then can start writing codes using Google Colab. And it's also very powerful. It actually has a GPU that you are doing some deep learning or AI or machine learning. Sometimes Google Colab might be even better than your personal laptop if you don't have any GPU. Although this is not the focus of this class, but I certainly want you to utilize this cloud computing resources. And so Google Colab is very easy to use, just like Google Docs. You can use to write text, you can insert images. Google Colab is a cloud computing environment, primarily for use Python, but you can use R or other programming languages. And it's so widely used, so it can be used in training, teaching, all kind of things. All you need is just a Google account. Log into that, then you can start writing code. So in the first couple of minutes, 10 minutes, we're going to briefly cover how to use it, okay? And some of the tricks that you might find useful, okay? So on the left side here, again, you can go to Google Colab. You can open it up if you want to. So the link will take you to colab.research.google.com. And once it's opened it up, then you can look at some of the previous one that you have utilized, or you can create a new notebook, for example, here. So under the hood, Google Colab can run Jupyter Notebook, just like what we create locally using JupyterLab. It's the same thing. So Jupyter Notebook is a standard, kind of like a Microsoft Word document, right? DOCX. You can open using most of the commonly software, editing software that you can use. But for Google Colab, you can open Notebook. You can also open Markdown. So you can use different types of format, and you can start doing coding and also writing a report on that. So next, let's quickly go through some of these, like how do you actually open something in Google Colab. So one way is you can just create a new notebook. If this is something you want, you can create one. You will see here by default, it's going to save this one to your Google Drive account. So there's a kind of a link in here. So if you want to find out where it is, you can go to File and then locate in Drive. So it's going to tell you where the file is being saved on your Google Drive. So every time if you create a new notebook, you'll be saved to your Google Drive. So click this link, then it will take you to your Google Drive and take a look. It's going to find you all under your Google Colab. So for example here, My Drive and then Colab Notebooks. So you should be able to find the Colab Notebooks under your Google Drive. It will create one automatically. And also in here, you see some of the notebook that I created in the past. On the left side here, if you saw an icon like the Colab icon, that means you can double click and open it directly. Otherwise, you might need to save that one as, for example, here, right click, and then you can open with. So on the right here, do you see this one Colab in here? If yes, you're good to go. If not, you can always connect more apps. So if you click that one, if this is the first time you're using Google Colab, then I would recommend just search Colab, and then you should be able to install that one. Probably I already installed. And so I mean, the first one here. Sorry, this is the one that if you have not installed it, install this one to your Google Drive. So next time you can right-click any notebooks on your Google Drive, and then you can open just using Google Colab. Make sense? So install this one. So this is one way you can create notebooks, and again, make sure that you know where the files are being saved on your Google Drive, because sometimes if you create a new one, it's only keep storing all the files. If you're only doing some testing, you don't really want to save the file to your computer, then you can click this one here. The first one, Scratchpad Notebook. So if you open this one, you look at this one doesn't generate a random URL. So this one is temporary. So this one doesn't save to your Google Drive unless you specifically ask for it. Otherwise, you'll be just here, and then you start doing coding. You can just close it. You'll be gone. Okay, so that notebook is gone. So if you want to save it, make sure you open it up, do something, and then File, save a copy in in Drive. Then it's going to save that one to your Google Drive. So it's up to you what you want to use. So this is one way you can basically create an empty notebooks. So for this class, there are two ways you can run the notebook. You can use Google Colab, especially for the first couple sections for the Python basics, because we don't use any third-party libraries. So it's just using the standard Python libraries. So you don't need to install anything. Google Colab is very nice. The downside is that if you're using some third-party libraries, you need to install that every time, okay? It's just a temporary environment. Once you close the tab, it's destroyed. So it's not there anymore. And it takes time. If you're installing some packages, that takes a while. It's not very helpful. So that's why we might want to just create a conda environment locally, because that's one time only. Make sense? Google Colab is good, but it takes time for you to set up the environment. If you're just doing some standard stuff, don't really need external one, then it's perfectly fine to use it. Okay, so we'll be going through the Python basics data, but right now I want to show you how you can actually get started. For example, here, if you go to the Python basics, go to the get started section in here. So for every notebook that we're going to cover, you will see the toolbar here, some icons at the top here. So this is where you can actually open the notebook in Google Colab, okay? So if you have your mouse to the first icon here, the rocket icon, and you will see the binder, and Google Colab, and also the live code. What I recommend is just use Google Colab, okay? So there's the faster. So you will see when I open it up, it's pretty much instant. So you open up this notebook. Also pay attention to the right here. When you open it up, right now this one doesn't show you anything. So it shows the connect. That means right now it's not really connecting to the Google server yet. It's not really ready yet. So it only assign the resources to you when you really need it. Right now we just open it up. So if you look at this one, hover your mouse to this one, if you click and then pay attention to the upper right corner, you need to just click run anyway, and then pay attention to this one, connecting. So right now basically creating a virtual computer for you when you are executing code. And after a couple seconds, you will see it's connected. And then it's going to show you, okay, RAM and also the disk. So now you're actually having this computer. So right now it looks like just a web browser. But under the hood, it's a virtual computer with 12.7 gigabyte RAM and also 100 gigabyte disk. So it's a pretty decent computer, and it's free. You can use it for whatever purposes you want. So this is one way you can run the notebooks. The second one here is called Binder. Okay, Binder is also a free cloud computing environment. The downside, it's going to take some time to build. So sometimes this might take a couple minutes for it to build up. And you see here, right now it's building the computer, building the virtual computer. Compared with Google Colab, this one has more flexibility. So you can install packages in advance. So you don't need to install it every time. You can set it up in advance, but we may not use this one a lot, but just going to show you there are a couple options. So if Google Colab is something that sometimes not suit your needs, you can use this one. But most of the time, just pick the second one. And also put a base in here. So if you go to any sections, for example, I go to the second one, you can either click here, go open in Colab, or you can click this one directly. So either way is fine. I can right click on this base, open a new tab, the same thing. So it's open this one in Google Colab. So this is the second way you can open the lectures, the notebooks in Google Colab, and then you can just executing the source code. Keep that in mind, don't open too many tabs. Google, I think, There's a limit. So if you open multiple tabs, you're getting multiple computers. And I think after maybe, I think 3, then you ask you to terminate some of the existing sections before you can open a new one. Okay, so I'm going to close all this. I'm going to show you the other way. So if you go to the second icon, click the repository. So this will take you to the website. So all the content for this course is hosted on GitHub in here. And if you're doing coding, you need to get familiar with GitHub, okay? GitHub store a lot of source codes, different languages, but specifically for our course, if you go to books inside this one, for example, click Python. So you're going to see all the notebooks actually in here. So if you, similarly, if you find other repository on GitHub, and then if you see something ends with .ipynb, that means it's a Python notebook, okay? So look at this one here. Some of the notebook, for example, here, I put this one here. I don't know why the icon doesn't show up, but this is a notebook. So if you want to open this one in Google Colab, okay, there's a shortcut. All you need to do is come to this URL here, okay, pay attention. It says github.com. What you need to do is just type GitHub to Colab, okay, just add to Colab at the end of github.com. So pay attention to here. This is kind of easier. So you don't need to go to, because otherwise you need to download the file and then try to upload to Google Colab. It takes time. So GitHub to Colab.com. That's it. And then just hit enter. See what happens. I'm going to open this one in Google Colab. So basically a shortcut to help you open this one in Colab so you can start running the source code. So try it out. I also put this one in the instruction here. Google Colab is the second one, okay? So the second trick is you're going to open a notebook on any GitHub repository. If there's .ipynb, you can do it this way. For example, I can go to maybe leaf map, for example, right? I can go to the leaf map GitHub repository. It can be any repository. It doesn't have to be our course repository. So similarly, I can go to the docs, and I know under the notebook example, notebook folder, there are a bunch of notebooks in here. So I can go to open anyone, and if you like it, okay, I want to try this one out, then you can go to here, github.com, add to Colab. Then it's open up. Then I can start running, right? So this is the one way you can do it. Second way, close this one, open this one again. An even better way is to install a Colab extension. So this one covers this one, the number 3, opening Colab Chrome extension. So if you click this link here, open in Colab, open this one up, it's going to take you to Google Chrome, and this is the extension. So if you have not installed this one, just click install, and then your Chrome Colab extension should show up somewhere here. So all you need to do is just click this one, to ping this one to your toolbar, then you'll be showing up in here. You see it? Install it and then just ping it. Then you will show up here, the browser icon here. And next time if you go to, for example, I go to this, my course repository, and then go to maybe Python, okay, I can open any notebooks. For example, open this one. So as I mentioned earlier, you can either type github to colab.com, or you can just click this icon, open in Colab. So just click it, take a look, it opens up. So this is another way you can open in Colab easily. So I recommend if you use Colab frequently, maybe just install this Colab extension to save you some time. Just one click and then open things up. And after that, this pretty much. And I will show you some shortcuts later when we introducing the Python basics. But this is how you can open the Jupyter notebook and Google Colab, okay? And certainly, if you want, you can download this notebook to your computer. So if you're on Google Colab, if you find any notebook you like, on the GitHub interface, there's an icon here, download raw file. You click that, it should pop up and ask you to download something to your computer. So So if this is what you want, you can save this one and then just click save. Then you have this notebook on your local computer. But right, so right now I have this notebook on my local computer. Then you can use Jupyter Lab or Visual Studio Code to open this one. Oh, it just reminds me, I think that some students were having issues with the terminal. So let me go with the discussion here. By the way, so if you run into any issues, you are welcome to go to GitHub and then discussions. And this is where you ask questions. So just open the new discussion, create a new discussion, Q&A, whatever you want, and then you can start asking questions. So there's one student asking about the conda not accessible through the terminal. So by default, when you install the miniconda package, for some operating system, it doesn't add it to the past environment variable. So this one is not accessible. And I'm going to show you here. I just added the instruction here. If you go to software miniconda, and I added a section accessing conda in Windows terminal. So what you want to test is, okay, go to your here. Go to your start menu and then just search terminal. If you have this terminal, I can open it up. And so from here, if you type conda and then it doesn't show you anything, that means you need to add that one to your task variable. So right now, for me, it works for me, but it may not work for you. So what you need to do here, I want to show you step by step. So where is actually conda coming from, right? It's coming from miniconda. So we install miniconda. It's basically a program. So you can go to your user under your C drive, and then under users, new name, you save this one on computer, or it might be on the lab computer, it might be on other folder. But there should be a miniconda folder has been installed. Then you should go to scripts, okay, under miniconda scripts directory, and there's a conda.exe, okay. So this is actually the program that we use to execute conda command. So when you use the terminal, when it opens up, it's going to look for this command, conda.something. So it doesn't find this one because this file path is not in the system path. That's why it cannot find it. So next, I'm going to show you how you can add this one so that it will show up on your Windows terminal. What you need to do is go to, again, just do a search, and then just type terminal. If you have already installed it, then just open, not terminal, environment variable. Just type env. Just type env on the search bar. And then on the left side here, you should see this one, edit the system environment variable. So if you click that, it's going to pop up this dialog. Then the lower right corner here, environment variables. So click that. And from here, on the second one, system variables. Scroll down until you find this one, path. Okay. Double click. And then it's going to open this one up. Next step, click new. Right? And then, so what you need to do is to go to this directory that we just opened it earlier. Miniconda scripts. Copy. And then copy this URL. Then come back to here. New one. And then paste. So it should be C user, your username, and then miniconda3/scripts. Then just click OK. And then OK. OK. It's done. So after that, close your terminal, open it again, and then type conda. So let me try here again. Terminal. And type conda. Now it should be activated. So the reason for that is whenever you're using terminal, it's going to look at the system path. So if it is not under the system path, you will not be able to find the program. This is how you can access the if you want to use terminal to access conda without using the anaconda prompt. And this is how the way to do it. You can do it for any other programs. Sometimes you install other program, it doesn't find it. That means you need to edit the system path in order to be able to make it accessible. Questions? All right. So once we have finished all the settings, now we can start doing coding. Okay. So for this lecture, I'm going to talk about Python basics. This is basically the building blocks of Python programming, and it's pretty much very much similar among all the programming languages. Programming languages basically just variables, store things in the memory, and then functions, classes, calling things. It's just like Lego, right? So if you want to build a house, then you need to have those building blocks to build the house. And so what we're going to cover today is kind of building block. And also we're going to cover on next lecture about data structures. But today we're just going to cover the basics about variables, how to define a variable, how to access a variable, and how to do some basic manipulations of the data. So go to the second one here, variables and data types. As I mentioned, there are multiple ways you can do it. Okay, easy way is just to open in Google Colab, right click and then open a new tab. That's it. Then you can start executing the source code step by step. This is a Jupyter notebook, and so a Jupyter notebook is combines text and code blocks on the same document. You can also insert images if you want to. Keep in mind, if I double click this one, if you have your mouse on the first, for example, the block, you double click it, you will notice Google Colab is going to open one on the left and the other one on the right. So on the left is actually the kind of like source code, the original text. On the right is after it's being rendered, it looks like this. So this is so-called Markdown. Again, we're going to use Markdown in notebooks. You can also use Markdown in all kind of use cases. It's very popular. So Markdown is something that you can use plain text, and then after it's being rendered, it's going to look a little bit nicer. And you don't need to know HTML. You don't need to know JavaScript. You can use Markdown to create a website if you want to. So Markdown, you are going to have a heading. For example, this is heading level 1. I have 2 pound signs, is heading 2, 3. And you can have, for example, 1 hyphen. You see here, it becomes a bullet point. You can also have 1, 2, 3. Again, we cover a little bit more. Once you use more, you will become familiar. But it's actually very simple and easy to use. So this is called a Markdown cell. Also in Google Colab here, you can create a code block or you can create a text block. Text means it's not something you can execute it. It's just Markdown block. Code means it's Python code. So there are only 2 types. So make sure that you understand the differences. For example, for this one, if you press Control Enter, so hover your mouse within this code block and then just press Control Enter, oops, or Shift Enter. You see, it's executed. It looks like this. So behind the scene, it's actually something like this. So Shift Enter, it's going to execute this one, and then move your cursor to the second one. So you can keep, for example, I can click this one. See, it's going to add those code blocks. And sometimes if it's too much, you can, on the right here, you can click this one to delete. Okay, I can delete this code block. I delete it. And if you don't want, you can delete it. Or you can create a new code blocks. Also on the left side here, there's a table contents. So click this one. You're going to see the table contents. So the table content is very much similar to here. On the course website, we have this table contents in here. So if you have a very long document, it'll be useful to look at the table content. So I can click this one. It's going to navigate to the specific section that you selected, right? So this makes it easy for you to go through to navigate the document. And what else? So here on the left side here, there's also an icon. This one you can actually connect to your Google Drive if you want to. This course we don't really need that, so I'm gonna skip that. But you can certainly see here, this is more like just the file browser of this virtual computer. So right now, this one is a kind of Linux computer. So it's a virtual machine. So you can actually access all the files in here. This is more like the system directory of this computer. It's different from Windows, but if you want, you can look at the files if you want to. So after that, then you can start reading through the document. So for this section, we're going to talk about variables, data types, comments, escape characters, and most of things is relevant to geospatial. So something that you do need to know if you want to do programming. So this is the most basic Python basics that we want to cover. And like I said, you're welcome to go through this here, look at the text. So what you need to do is to remember a couple of shortcuts. Okay. So in Google Colab or in the Jupyter notebook, there are only a very few shortcuts. So let me go back to Google Colab here again. And I put some of the shortcuts in here. So in order to run Python code in Jupyter Google Colab, you can run Control Enter. Control Enter means execute this code block. Your cursor stay in this code block. You can use Shift Enter. It's going to execute, and then the cursor is going to move to the next code block. Or you can use Alt Enter. It's going to execute this one and then create an empty code block beneath. So let's try this one out here. You can always click the button on the left side. But once you become a professional programmer, you usually don't want to use interface, okay? So you want to avoid click the interface because it's going to be much slower. And this is why in all the movies, hackers, you see they're typing the keyboard and then nobody really use the interface. So you should try not to use the buttons. You should use the keyboard shortcut, okay? So let's try it out. Control Enter. And then run anyway. Upper right, it's going to connect to the computer and it's going to run it. Okay, it's already done. You might also notice on the left side here says 0 seconds. That one shows you how long does it take to execute the code block. Okay, and for this one, it was a simple one, so it's very quick. So this is Control Enter, and you notice that my cursor stay in this code block, right? You can run multiple times. So this time I'm going to use Shift Enter. So pay attention to what happens. Shift Enter. Where's the cursor now? Move to the next one. So this one is highlighted. Again, let me show you one more time. Shift Enter. You see? The code block beneath is being selected. Or Alt Enter. See that? You create an empty code block. So you can continue to run multiple times, you create empty blocks. So this is the same thing, just you click this button. And depends on your use case. If you're just reading through the document, you want to run one by one, the shortcut would be Shift Enter. Because you run this one, you go to the next one, go to the next one, so by sequence. But if you want to, like, there's a specific code block that you want to understand, you want to wait a little bit, you want to try a couple things, then use Control Enter, so you will stay there. But if you want to try something else, you want to type your own code, then you use Alt Enter, create an empty code block, and then you can start writing whatever you want, right? I can see write A equal to 1, and then Alt Enter, B equal to 2, and Alt Enter, C equal to A plus B, and then Alt Enter, and print out C. Right? So depending on your use case. So these are the only 3 shortcuts you need to remember. Control Enter, Shift Enter, and then Alt Enter. That's it. And the shortcuts are the same for Jupyter Lab when we run things locally. So it's up to you which one you want. Besides this one, I can show you here. I can come to this code block, and there's a couple more that you might be using. So if you execute one code block and then you realize, okay, I need to add something above, you can, on your keyboard, you can press A. So pay attention to here. See, I add a code block above. But you need to don't put your cursor inside, okay? If right now, if my cursor is here, if you type A, it's going to type into here. So if you want to add a code block before and after, when your cursor is within the code block, press escape sign, ESC, to get out. So right now it's not editing mode, it's the selection mode. Then you press A or B. So A means above, B means below. So for example here, right now I want to add a code block beneath. You just press B. So pay attention here. Okay, create a new code block B here. And again, you need to, if you want to create another one, you need to press the escape sign. Otherwise, you press B, it's going to type B in there. Okay, so escape, and then A, Okay, escape B, escape A. Okay, A B. Okay, A means above, B means below, and there's also another one called X. X means I don't need it. Then I'm going to cut out, basically delete. So look at this one, right? So A equal to 1. Again, don't press X, okay, like this. It's not good. You press escape sign, and then X, escape sign. Oh, I think Colab doesn't work this one. It should be, or maybe just use the delete. I think in Google Jupyter Lab is X. This one may be a different shortcut. So if it doesn't work, just click this one. Then you will delete all the blocks. Okay. Any questions? So this is easy, very easy to use. So let's start really doing coding. So I'm going to show you how to download things to your computer. So if you already install Conda, you already set up everything, I recommend using Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code provides a lot more functionality. Jupyter Google Colab is just for people that don't have things on a local computer. They just want to try things out. Google Colab is good, but we're going to start from this lecture. Going forward, I'm going to just use Visual Studio Code on my local computer for doing demo. So again, I'm going to open Visual Studio Code, and then we can start from there. So type code, open it. All right. So once it opens up, from here, you can click this one, clone gig repository. So I'm going to click this button, and then from here, you can paste the URL. So what you can do here is go to the website, and then you go to the GitHub repository. So I'm going to go to the course website, and then under here, repository. Then click this green button here, find this URL. So this is Git repository. Basically, is somewhere you can store the source code, and it has version control. So what you want is copy this URL, copy the link, and then you can come back to Visual Studio Code. Click clone Git repository, then just paste the URL. You only need to do this one time, okay? If you have not done it, if you have cloned this one before, then you can just open the directory, and then just press enter. Then you will pop up file browser, ask you where do you want to save this one, right? So for me, I'm going to save to maybe to my downloads directory here, okay? And then just say select as repository destination. And so what it's doing is going to clone the repository to your computer. Then I can just say open. See, so now I have all the things downloaded to my computer. Then on the left side here, you will be able to see book, and then click Python, right? Then you have all the files downloaded to this one. So for this lecture, we're going to talk about variables. So you can click this one, then it's open up the notebook on the right. Can you see it? Any issues? No? So this is a notebook, and so the first step that you need to do is to select a kernel. As I mentioned in the previous lecture, right, Conda can create a lot of virtual environments. So you can think about, you need a Python, we are running Python code, you need a Python program takes you to run it. And so each Python is basically just a kernel. You can run different kernel, you can choose different kernel for different purposes. So what you need to do after you open the notebook, the first step is to select the kernel. So click the menu here, select kernel, and then Python environments. Then from here, you can select whatever kernel. So last time we created the Conda environment called Geo. So I'm going to select this Geo environment. And then we're good to go. So now we are getting into this Conda environment, and you can start using that to executing source code. So if you come back to this code block, and then on the left side here, it's similar to Google Colab, but the interface certainly is a bit different, right? So it's not always the same, but the functionality are pretty much similar. So you can click this play icon here to execute the code block, and you're going to see the green icon here, a green check mark. That means it executes successfully. But if you have something wrong, or if you didn't write the code correctly, it's going to throw you errors. Okay, you can try it out. For example, place your mouse, the cursor at the beginning, and maybe add 2 space at the beginning, and run it. You see, it still works, but it's going to show you like unexpected indentation. Although the code still works fine, you can still execute it, but it's not the best practice. So anytime if you see something like curly red lines, that means something is wrong. You probably need to pay attention. Okay. Or I can have maybe like, how about this? You add maybe 1 at the beginning, or maybe put some numbers at the beginning. And if you run it, now it's going to show you errors. Okay. So Python does have some syntax that you need to follow. If there's incorrect syntax, you won't be able to run code. So you need to remove it and remove the spacing at the beginning. So similar to in Google Colab, right? Control Enter, Shift Enter, Alt Enter. So in this case, I will usually prefer Shift Enter, and then to run code blocks in sequence. So Shift Enter, and then you move to the next one. This one is more obvious. Okay, so you can see on the left side here, there's a green vertical bar here. That means right now this one is being selected. So this is the current selected code blocks. And you can continue to go to the next one, right? So in Python, we define a variable. And also pay attention to here, there's some syntax you need to follow. Something equal to something. And also have the space in between, okay? Good. You can also do this, but it's not recommended, okay? So always have some space between the assignment operator. So in Python programming, when we are doing this kind of a coding, like for us, when we are reading this line, we're reading from the left to the right. Okay. For programming languages, it's actually from the right to the left. All right. So you assign basically assignment. So basically, give 120 assigned to this variable, and it's executed from the right to the left. So we are giving a variable called number points and assign num 120. Right. This one here is called a variable. A variable is something in the computer memory that stores some information. And it can be a string, it can be a number, it can be anything. So this is how we store the information. We can talk about the data structures in the next lecture, but once you define a variable, then you can print out. So the print function is the built-in function from Python. So you can print anything, okay? I can print this number that we just executed, we just assign. So you see here 120, right? From that number. You can also add something else. For example, how about this? You can use it as some mathematical equation. You can plus things, you can minus things. So the print function can print all kind of things. You can also directly print out just a string. So right now, this is only a variable. Each variable has a type. Okay. So for example, you have your name, you have your height, your weight, your measure, right? So those different things can be stored using different data types. So if you want to figure out, for example, sometimes we don't know, like, what's this data type? How do I know? In Python, you can type this function called type. And see here, execute it. It's going to tell you int. Int stands for integer. That means it's a whole number, integer. We can also have floating number. So for example, I can say number's points equal to 120.5. Of course, it doesn't make sense. Like points is the whole point, but just as an example. So right now, if I execute this one again, and if you click this one, type again, it's going to show you float. Float means floating number. So that means you have some decimals after the whole number at the beginning. So in Python, these are the two primary types of data type for storing numbers, right? So if this whole number, you'll be int, integer. If this like with decimals, you're going to be float number, okay? These are two types. When you name the variables, you want to make sure that follow the convention, okay? The variable cannot start with the number at the beginning. You can start with an underscore. You can start with a string. You can start with some special characters, and also Python variables are case sensitive. So don't, these two numbers, for example, lowercase and uppercase, they are different. So in the memory, they are treating as different variables. So they are very different. Also, to avoid using variable names that have reserved keywords. So these are all the reserved keywords in Python. So never name your variable as something like this, because it's going to mess up your program, because it's going to override the previous one, right? So for example, in the future, you're trying to give your child a name. You probably want to give a name that's not like so popular that when people Google your name and it never comes up, right? You want to be something distinguishable from some family popular names, right? You don't want to use one. You probably don't want to name your children following some popular like star Taylor Swift, Joe Biden, or Donald Trump, right? Not useful, because never going to find you. So make sure that your name is, don't use those popular one. Don't use those reserved keywords. You will use something like meaningful, short. Don't make it too long, okay? You don't want to have a name like 20 characters. It's also very difficult to type. So short and sweet is something that you want to think about. And usually you want to start with a character. You can start with an underscore. Usually it's a hidden variable, a private variable. So for example, number of features, this is a pretty good variable. So this is 500, for example, here. You can also define a variable, for example, in geospatial, right? Sometimes we use GPS coordinates. So you're going to have latitude, you're going to have longitude. So you can see this number in here, right? Again, what the data type of these two numbers? Float, right? We just covered it. No integer. And how about this? I say date equal to 35. So how about this one? Is this one? What's the data type of this one? Let integer or float? Integer, right? Because I don't have a decimal. And if I put a period at the end, is it integer or float? I just put a period. What do you think? Let's try it out. Type and then let it's float. Even though it looks like integer, but as long as the decimal in there, it becomes a float. So the reason, like, well, why don't we put everything as float? Why do we need integer? I mean, this one number looks like it's equal to an integer, but why we are storing it as a float? So keep in mind, everything stored in the memory requires something, right? Float is usually 32 32-bit integer, or 32-bit float. So you're going to take some space. We also have integer 8, 0 to 256. So integer usually takes small amount of memory. Okay, how many bits? Like 32-bit. That means you need like 32-bit in your memory, right? Or you can also have 64-bit. Integer you can have like 0 and 1, 0 and 1. It's the binary just 2. So it takes less space. So sometimes if you don't need that super accurate, you use integer. But you can always use float to represent integer. For example, if I'm trying to store, for example, the name or your height, for example, right? You need some floating number. Integer sometimes is just too generic, right? So it depends on use case, but nowadays memory is not really an issue, so you can always use float to make more accurate. But in terms of latitude and longitude, definitely you want to use float. You don't want to use just integer, because you want to simplify, just oversimplify too much. So this one right now here, right? We have the latitude and longitude, and for example, we can also define a coordinate system. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Might be larger. So this number. So the next one here is called string. So string basically is just characters. Okay, and a string can be read by a single quote or double quotes. So this one here we wrap it by double quotes. Okay, just like your name, right? So for example, I'm going to define a new variable and then say name equal to, like, for example, Elon Musk. Okay, and it's a variable. It's a string variable. And you also notice here, I have something, a pound sign, and then a hashtag, and then something at the end. So that's called a comment. A comment is something like you use to give some additional information, but it's not part of the source code. Okay, so it's being ignored. It's not. It's something just to describe something, kind of like give additional information, but it's not Python code. Okay, it's just comment. So after that, anything after this, you'll be ignored. So this is one way, or you can put the comments at the top. For example, I can copy this one, and then I can put it here at the top. It works as well. Okay, and then you can execute. It's the same thing. So it depends on what you want. Comment, you just add a hashtag at the beginning, a pound sign at the beginning, and there's a shortcut on your keyboard. So if you're writing some code, you say, okay, I don't like this line anymore. I can just comment things out. Press Control/. Control/ to turn it into a comment or turn it back. Question? Usually if this is a relatively long one, you put it at the beginning. If it's very only like 5 or 6 key words, then you put it to the right. So it's up to you. Also, you will see here on my editor here, you see 2 vertical lines. So in Python programming, it's also recommended that your Python code don't exceed, every line don't exceed, I think, I forgot what's the number, like 80 characters. So if I exceed more than that, usually you want to put at the beginning, because you don't want, basically you don't want to have your Python code like something like this. You don't want to have super long line, for example, like this. Then it's not a good practice. So this is the indicator, right? I have these 2 lines in here. That means, okay, if it is okay, you can add a couple more lines here. But if it really exceeds the next one, then you probably want to reduce to move to the second line. So don't basically have a very super long line. It's not going to be good when it's rendered on GitHub. So for now, I'm just doing this. And also you can certainly do this, right? I can hover my mouse, press A, create a new code block. And from this one here, I can change to Markdown. Up right here. And then you can have as many, whatever long, how long it is, it doesn't matter. So for this one here, I can have this, I can have this, I can have this. Oops. Because the line of this is a hashtag. So previously it's called comment. Right now, if in Markdown, it becomes a heading label 1. So that's why it looks so big. Oh, so if you don't need it, you can remove the hashtag at the beginning. Then you'll be just simple text. So this one here is totally fine, even exceed, because it's like auto-responsive. So when you have a smaller computer screen width, it will basically change the width automatically. So for example, right now here, see, it converts to 2 lines, right? And if I maximize, it becomes a 1 line. So for Markdown, it's okay to exceed the code block, the recommended maximum width. For Python code, you don't want to, because it doesn't automatically go to the next line. Make sense? And then Control/ to have a common or uncommon. So that's about the string. Again, you can do double quotes. You can also do single quotes, but they need to match each other. If you have a single quote at the beginning, then you need to have a single quote at the end. Don't have single quote and mismatch, right? So right now I have a single quote at the beginning, double quote at the end. No good, okay? You want to see the curly line here. So what you need to do is just single quote like this, and then execute it. Now it's good. And it's the same if you have double quotes. So those are the equal. Those 2 variables are the same thing. Next one is called Boolean. So Boolean means it's true or false. And these are very useful when you're doing the conditional statements. Okay. So for example, right now, if I'm trying to, for example, give you at the end of the semester, I need to get some extra points. Okay. Then I need to have some condition. Okay. If this student has answered more than 3 questions from other students, I give you 30 points. Yes. If it is no, then I don't give you extra points. So this is the one like true or false. It's going to use as a condition. So we talk about more later throughout the semester when we cover this looping and control statements, then you will need this one. So it's so frequently used. I mean, in the real world, we always need to have some kind of condition. For example, if your GPA is above 3.8, okay, you are in the things list, okay, you get this award or not, right? If your income is below something, then you can apply for some financial support or something like that. Yes or no, right? So you need it true or false. So right now, this is called true, or you can change to false. And keep in mind, it's title case, okay? So this one here is okay. This one is not okay. So when you type the keyword, this is where Visual Studio Code is super helpful because it's going to show you can autocomplete. It's going to fix it for you. If you use other editor, you may not, right? So you just hit tab, it autocomplete. So if this in blue color, that means it's a reserved keyword, and that's why you need to, when you're defining a variable, if the keyword, the name changed to something like this, you don't want to use it. The color should be, for example, it should be white color. It's good. If it's not white color, it's bad. Probably don't want to use the name. So one example will be like this. Let me show you. Let's say you want to create a map, and you want to define a map variable. I'm going to show you like map equal to 1 or something. The map is actually not a good keyword. This one it's interesting. It doesn't show up, but there's a function called map in Python. So don't name your variable map. It's not good variable name. So don't do it because you're gonna overwrite some the reserved keywords. Anyway, so this is the true or false. It's so-called Boolean. Yes or no, basically yes or no, true or false. Title case. Next one is called list. This is defined, put inside the square brackets, and then separated by comma. Okay, so the list can have an unlimited number of items, unlimited number of elements, separated by comma. So in this case, write coordinates, and they have a square brackets. Also pay attention here, right? You can, right now it's separated into multiple lines, but it's essentially the same as this. So I can put this one here, oops, and so you don't necessarily have to put them in multiple lines. I can do it just like this. And always have a space in between and then square brackets. Make sense? This line is the same as this line. It's just this is more readable, trying to do that so you can put things into multiple lines. But these two are the same, exactly the same. So under the hood, when it's saved in the memory, these are the two same variable. So they're separated by comma. So inside the list, you can do it like this. Or how about this? I say coordinates 2. Right? So I'm going to do it like this. Double quotes. Oops. All right. So right now my question is are these two variables the same? Yes or no? No. It will not be the same because they're different data type. So if you want to really figure it out like whether they're the same or not, you can just do it like this. Coordinate. Oops. Equal to coordinates 2. So in Python, we haven't covered this one yet, but double equal sign means it's trying to see if they're equal or not. If there's only one equal sign, it's called assignment operator. So you read from the right to the left, okay? This one is double equal. It's trying to figure out whether they are the same or not. So if you execute this one, it's going to tell you false. That means they're not the same. That means one is float, the other one is string. But how about this, right? I have this one, coordinates, and I have this one. I can change it to coordinate maybe 3. And I can check this one again, coordinates and coordinates 3. Are these two the same? See, it's 2. Even though it looks a little bit different, right? This is just one line, this is multiple lines, but under the hood, they are the same because the values are the same, even though you split into multiple lines. So this is something that sometimes for beginners it might be confusing, right? Different lines of code, why they're the same? Because the value, they check the values. So this item has two items. First one, for example, latitude, second one, longitude. Okay? And within a list, those data types do not have to be the same. It can be different. So pay attention to here, right? I have latitude list. I can have the other one here. Oops. I can have this. I have a double quote. Works as well. You can have a number, you can have a string, you can have anything inside. So list is a nested something. You can nested all kind of things in here. You can even give a name in here. For example, I can have this one and then inside here, and I can say city. We not throw errors. This can store anything. So it's kind of a data structure that used to store all kind of information. Can be float, can be this, or you can have a list within a list. You can have a nested list. So I can have another one here, for example, a square bracket and something like this. Works as well. So it can become very complicated. Again, right now, this just give you some examples. We will give a lot more examples later. So you do need to know how do I get to this item. When it's a nested item, it's just like hierarchy. You can go one by one until you get to the element that you want. So last one, dictionary. So a dictionary is a dictionary. You have a key, you have value. So you can have multiple keys, you can have multiple values. And so if we look at this one, right, feature attribute. So within here, so a dictionary is created by wrapping the curly brackets, okay? So different from the list is square brackets. This one is curly brackets. So within here, you're gonna have different items separated by comma. And then for each item, you're gonna have a key, you're gonna have a value, and they're separated by colon. Okay, key, colon, value, comma, P2, colon, value 2, comma. So you can have multiple items within a dictionary. Right? So if I run this one, and now this is a dictionary. So this is important because think about here, the university can store all kind of information about all the students. And they can have a unique, for example, your social security number is the unique ID. And then use this one as the key to look up the information about you. So think about here, imagine they have a spreadsheet or a database, and this is your key, or even your NEC ID, right? It's unique. So look at your NEC ID, and then it's going to link to all the databases. So in those databases, for example, you can look at your name, then you have a spreadsheet, something like your name, and then your real name, first name, last name, your major, geography, and then your address, blah, blah, blah. So this is exactly like a dictionary stored in the database. Yes? Oh, good question. That's decided by the whatever invent the language. You cannot use the equal sign inside there. It must be colon. This is called key and pair. So you cannot have an equal sign inside there. You cannot do it like this. It will throw errors. It's just colon. It's just convention. So yeah, that's a good question. I don't know why they use this. It's whatever when first designed the language, it says that it must be a colon in order to define that. So it's consistent. So right now this one is using colon. Yeah, you can use the ISO to sign it. So for example here, right now, let me show you, right? So you execute this one, and then you can print out what it looks like inside. So this one, right now, is available. So assume that, okay, after like some time, okay, the mountain Fuji has a volcanic eruption, right? Now the height becomes much lower, right? You need to update it, right? How do you update it? Then you can use the equal sign. So what you need to do here would be this one, and then, so if you need to access the information of the dictionary, then you use the square brackets to get into the key. So for example, right now I need to update the height. Then you will be copy this one, and inside here, you need to access the key. You'll be double quotes, and then this one. This is the key, and then equal to, for example, okay, right now, the height is only 3,500, okay? Then you assign the variable, and if you print out this one again, see, it's being updated. We will talk about more in the next lecture, how do we actually accessing all the information, but think about everything stored in the memory. It's kind of like the pointer. So you can access the information, you can modify it if you want to. So we cover the integer, float, okay, strings, Boolean, list, dictionary. So these are more like the basic data types, and you can use that to create other data structures. But this is certainly something you need to understand. Why do we use this one, right? They all have different cases. We need this all basic data type when we construct the program. Next, escape signs, escape characters. So this one is also very common. You do need to understand it. It happens all the time. Like sometimes you're reading, okay, what does the backslash? Why do they have a backslash in here? So backslash basically is the special character that allows you to print out some special characters. Because otherwise, for example, let me show you this one. Yeah, let's just use the example first, right? So print out something, and then I have a backslash n, and this is the Python script. So if I execute it, how many lines of text you want to expect to see? If you never use it, you probably don't know. Right now it looks one line, right? Why it makes two lines in here? Because the backslash n represents new line. So you're going to create a new line. So basically when it's like printing this one out, and then when you see the backslash, you're going to look at the one after that. If this n, that means, okay, go to the next line, print out the next line. So if I don't have this one, then it will be just one single line like this. So sometimes you want to purposely print out things on the second line. You can use backslash n to create a new line. Okay, so this is called escape characters, backslash n. Okay, the other common one is backslash t. Okay, so you will see actually here I have multiple. You can chain multiple escape signs all together. So what this one is doing, okay, I'm going to print out the first one, and then backslash n means go to the second line, right? And then backslash t means tab. That means you press on your keyboard, press tab, basically indent one more level. So look at this one. See that? So this is how you can do some simple formatting when you are printing text. And how about this one? What's your name? What's your name? Because this one, I have double quotes outside. Then you can have a single quote inside. But if you have a single quote outside, you can have another single quote inside. So for this one, right, if I'm trying to print out single quote and then another single quote, because a string can be read by a single quote. So if you, yeah, this is, maybe I can have another double quotes. For example, print out. Like, and I can say something about I say, okay, and then I can inside here can have another double quotes, and then say hello world. Can I do that? Can I do this? Right, I have double quotes outside, and then inside I say hello world. There's a typo in here, right? Hello. Is this going to work? You see something here? Doesn't work because you cannot do that. Like I mentioned, if you have things double quotes, if it meets the first double quote, you're gonna find a second double quote, and it's going to end. So what this one is doing here is going to find this double quote, blah blah, and then it stays here, and that's why you see this white color. Not going to work because it's going to end in here, and then everything else is just like get confused. So if you really want to have that something inside, you need to have the backslash. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So what you need to do here is to use the escape sign. So pay attention to this one, right? I press the first escape sign in here, and then you need another escape sign at the end. Now everything is removed. So this is, take a look at this one. Now I can have those double quotes, right? If you really want a double quotes, you wrap your string as single quotes. Or you can have double quotes, then inside you need to have a escape sign, backslash, in order to print this one out, right? So if you treat the backslash, you're going to treat this one as a so-called literal. Basically, whatever it is, it's going to print it out just as it is. And then, so right now, I have this single quote outside here, another single quote at the end. The double quotes inside, those are just string literals. That's going to print it out just as it is. Make sense? So anytime you're trying to print something and then it just doesn't work, then you need to pay attention. Do I have single quotes? Do I have double quotes? Do they match each other? If they don't match, then you need to fix it. Questions? And for the comments, we already covered that. So control slash, put a pound sign at the beginning. You can have multiple comment lines, right? I can have one line, I can have 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, doesn't matter. So you can have multiple lines of code on the same code block, or multiple lines of comments. It doesn't really matter. So after we have covered all the variables, now let's see how to actually work with the variables, work with the data type, right? So in this one, we define a variable, and also see this one, plus equal 20. This might look very confusing. So if you have number of features equal to something and then plus 20, that means it's going to assign 20. Let me run this one first. Or it's not defined. So I can define something here. For example, I say number of features equal to 10. Right? And if I execute this one, what do you think the number will be? So what is plus equal to something? Is basically something like this. I say number of features equal to number of features plus 20. Make sense? So I initially have 10, I add 20, now it becomes 30. So if I print this one out, oops, number of features. If you're trying to see something in the notebook, you don't need to really have the print function. You can just type the variable and then just execute it. It will show the content. So under the hood, it just print out, call the print function. So it says 30. Okay. So what happens if I execute this code block? Becomes what? Becomes 50, right? Because they already have 30, and then the plus equal 20 means I'm going to add 20 to that 30, then it becomes 50. Make sense? So plus equal sign is plus that number, and then we override the variable. How about this? Can I do that? So right now, if I execute this code block, what number are you going to see? What number? Right? It was 50 previously, right? So right now, what we're trying to do? Trying to minus 20. So you go back to 30. Right? If I run again, what's the number? 10. Run again. Negative 10. So you see everything is different. So it's the variable, it's the store in the memory. So you keep updating. So next time if you get an updating a variable, it's going to keep changes. And a couple more examples in here. So you can actually do a lot of mathematical equations. So import math. So this is a built-in library, the Python library. So you can use it to do all kind of calculation. So what we're doing here, we import this library, we assign a variable, and then we're trying to calculate the radians, math dot radians. So if you really want, you can try this one out, right? Import the math and then math dot. So when you press type dot, it's going to show up all the methods available for this library. So this is called functions. Okay, you can call the functions. You can do all kind of calculations. We talk about more in the following lectures, but just let you know, Python have some so-called standard libraries that you can use to some computation. You can also start adding numbers. So for example, this is a list. I can show you here. For example, this is a list. Oops. I have a couple more minutes, but let me execute this one, right? So we define a coordinates list. Once you have the variable, then you can access all the functions available for this data type. So this is a list. So coordinates dot, and then you will pull out all the list available. Append means you're going to append something to the list. You can clear all the items, you can copy, you can count. So there are a couple of these functions that you can use to manipulate the list. And this is why over here we use the so-called append function. Append means you can add something to the list, right? So I can add the latitude, add the longitude, and then you can print something out. So if you print this one, right now this list has 4 items, right? I can continue to add things. If I run this line again, what do you expect to see? Is it going to be the same or is it going to be different? So if I run this code below again, are you going to see something different? Yes or no? No, it's always going to the same because the variable is being override every time you redefine the variable. But pay attention, if I comment this one out, if I run again, what do you expect to see? How many numbers inside? 6. If I run again, how many? 8. It's going to keep adding, okay? Because the variable I don't redefine it, so it's going to based on the previous one. But if I override every time you define the variable and it just stay that, so it always stay the same. So this is why you need to be careful when you are defining a variable. Do you intend to use the one from the original one, or do you intend to override it? So if you do this, then you will always be the same variable. Okay. You can also access the dictionary, right? So all the dictionary is defined as curly brackets. Yes. Open one movie. Yeah, of course. So you can do it in here. For example, I can open. You can open a list inside. So for example, right now this is just a number. I can also actually do this. I can have square brackets. I can have a square brackets. If you have need multiple, then you do it something like this. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can add as many things you want. But this might not be the format you want, but you can certainly edit like this way. For a list, you can append anything into the list. For a dictionary, you can access the information through curly brackets, square brackets, and then the key, the name of the key. So for example, earlier we have these features, and then we can access the name, we can access the height, we can also print out. So this one is something also need to, we talk about more in the next lecture about so-called F string. F string means that right now I need to print out something, but I don't want to do the hard coding. This is just like a placeholder. So what this one is doing is inside the F string, you can have curly brackets, and then you can have variable names. When it's printing things, it's going to execute, get the values within for that variable. It's going to replace this placeholder with the real thing. So for example, you say, okay, my name is just like if you're trying to fill out a form, it's like this underscore. You can fill in your name, and then my major is blah blah. So within there, you can have the so-called F string to do the printing. So this can be very helpful when you're trying to print out something. So make sure you practice this one. Again, I can show you, for example, here. I can, for example, okay, first name equal to Ilong, okay, and then last name equal to Mas. So if you're trying to print out the name, I can just say print out, right? So whenever design a program, think about how many lines of code you need to change if I change some of the input. So if you look at this one here, and if I change the name to something else, how many lines of code need to change? So if I change the name, for example, to Taylor, okay? Taylor mask. If they two get married, okay, it becomes Taylor mask. So right now, if I need to change, right, I also need to change in here. So it's not very convenient. So this is why you want to use the so-called if string. Make sense? So I'm going to use if string, and in double quotes, inside there you can have like placeholder. So I'm going to have the curly brackets in here, and so this one will be the first name, okay, and then last name. So if I change the name, I don't need to change this one. So this is so-called if string placeholder. So run this one. So now if I run this code block, and you can run this one, okay. So you can change the name to whatever ABCD, whatever you like. I don't need to change this one because it's placeholder. Okay, so we are out of time. We now have a couple, 2 more code blocks. Try to learn this one by yourself. And if you want, you can start doing the lab assignment, but lab 1 also covers the lecture for the next lecture. But you can take a look at it if you want to in here, lab section. So in the next lecture, we cover how to do the lab assignment, how to submit the lab assignment. And we also cover the data structures section. Okay, that's all for today. I will see you next lecture.